to Crew TV. I'm Kyle Smith, and I'm here today with Professor Dave Durand, professor at Wheaties University, and I understand you've done a study of all of the past Wheaties box appearances, all the people over the years.
Back to Bruce Jenner in the 70s to anybody who's been on the cover of Wheaties cereal box.
Excellent. One of his major departments is as a professor of Muriology at Wheaties University. Obviously, we know Mike was on the cover of the Wheaties box several years ago and is now a contender for it again. So I've asked Dave to come on here just for me to ask a few quick questions about Mike and get to know who he is a little bit better, what makes him tick, what makes him such a superstar as a division manager for Vector Marketing and Cutco Cutlery.
That's right. Yeah, being a professor of Muriology is interesting because the candidate is still alive.
Right.
So he could actually try to tell me I'm wrong about things.
Right.
But he's not the expert in Muriology.
Dave Durand is the expert of Muriology.
I'm the expert on Mike Muriel.
Dave and I were talking this morning just a little bit about what makes Mike so great and what makes him tick, and so I'd like to just kind of ask you a few questions about what you've observed over the last 17 years of working with Mike in a number of different capacities, about what truly makes him who he is and the success that he has been over the years. The first point I see you have on here is that Mike builds habits in others.
This is a huge thing. And talking to, we got all the corniness and everything out of the way here, but and we are going to do this kind of an interview style, but this is for the division managers of the Central Region. This is hugely important material, and I want to stress, kind of in a follow-up from the email that I sent, that what we're talking about here can make an immediate impact, and it's certain things that Mike does. Now, Mike, of course, could watch this and say, "Durand, you got it all wrong." But you know, I would even say that even if he would make the observation that I've got some of these things wrong, from the outside perspective, this is actually the behaviors that I see that drive a tremendous result that Mike is putting forward. And I really don't think that I am under the banner of anything debatable. This is pretty much things that we've observed. But to the degree that Mike does them, and what we observe in the Central Region, I think is some very important things here that drive the result. What's inspiring me to do this, if you look at the sales report, and you're going to have to just maybe copy this in, there is success everywhere, at every level in Mike's organization. Of course, leading with the pilot, but then down to Chanda, Jake, Danny. I mean, we're talking about long-term people who have been successful, short-term people who have been successful, branch managers who are successful, #1 branch in the region again here, new district managers, veteran guys like Bob who are coming into their own in many different ways. Danny Lewis has been around for a long time, Chanda, a national name. All of these things, not to mention, of course, Justin Dunn is another division now, Greg Strine. The proof is everywhere. So what does Mike do? You mentioned, Kyle,
building habits in others was one of the
building habits in others. This is a huge one. It's not an accident that in Mike's organization nearly everybody fills out the Google Docs report. Now, some people would say, well, that to me sounds a little bit like it's just kind of a militant, purposeless exercise that just shows that you're in charge and people do what you say. But it really is nothing near that. We know this, that there are some people that don't fill out a document like that because they're either lazy or highly disorganized. But that is rarely the case. It's primarily that they don't fill out that document because they don't know the answers to the questions that are in it. They don't know what they're at for the week, they don't know how many demos they have, and if they don't know those things, they can't drive their business. So in fact, what this represents is a huge, huge, huge thing. And speaking to Dane and Brandon, who are newer division managers, I think this is a really important message to hear, but it doesn't matter who you are. This, as a division manager, is crucial material here. Mike Muriel has his people fill out those documents. They do fill out the documents. They're aware of their business. That means that when Mike is on a conference call or making some sort of change in the organization, trying to drive a behavior through that branch or district manager to the reps and to the field, he does it. He actually has a portal for that. He's got an ability to communicate directly down to the rep because the PDI is thorough and it's done. You can't drive your business if you don't know where you are. If you're just taking PDI, okay, you're basically the order taker, and we have this as managers never just take PDI. They use PDI to drive things. Now, this could look like I'm saying Mike is perfect. We've got this profile of the champion, the A&E, the excellence thing. Mike's never made mistakes. I've worked with him for 17 years. I've seen Mike go from being pretty bad at some of these areas to excellent at them in his history. And I think the reason that he's so good at it now is because he understands the dangers of not doing some of these behaviors that he has done so well. Taking PDI is You're receiving the calls that would have come in naturally. You're not really driving, you're not influencing, you're not affecting, you're not challenging people to the next level. Mike doesn't do that. And because he doesn't do that in his own interactions with the managers, in other words, Mike doesn't call somebody and say, I really want you to look in your PRs, or whatever the thing happens to be, and for the person to go, okay, I'll do that, and it goes away. He follows up.
Right.
You know, he makes sure it happened. And if it didn't happen, there's a consequence, which generally speaking is just Mike saying, I said do it, let's get it done, and the consequence is, gosh, I got to start doing this before he's not going to stop talking to me about it. Or it's another consequence that might be real. But more than anything, Mike doesn't use that consequence as much as results and praise. And see, here's the thing about it. You were saying this morning, you talked to 3 different people.
Right.
And
well, what I think is so amazing about Mike's influence and ability to influence is when he wants something to get out there into the field, into his division, around his division at every level, it gets out there. He finds a way to get it out there. I was talking to Chanda last week, and she was saying how it's so important right now in the Chicago division, and you know, I don't think she was limiting to that, but that we retain everybody. We retain every single sales rep this summer because recruiting's been a little bit behind according to the, if we're measuring it based on the actual calendar weeks. Talked to Jake Eckel, said the exact same thing. Nobody quits. Nobody quits. This morning I was in Pat Karuska's office, same exact thing. We are retaining everybody. Nobody quits mentality.
So you've got top veteran district manager Chanda saying the same thing. Mike is saying it as a pilot, of course. He's saying it to the team. You've got Jake Eckel, first full year district manager this year, saying the same thing. Right. Who, by the way, you know, was a little concerned about how his summer started. 50K this week, boom, just like that. And then you've got Becca, brand new district manager.
Right.
Okay, so you've got, and I know the branch manager is saying the same thing. He's taking a message, and I know this. For the 3 of you to be saying that, okay, and actually you're not watching this because this is for division managers, but for the 3 of them to be saying it, Mike just didn't throw it out one time in an email, throw it out one time in a conference call. He has penetrated that through his team until they are all saying it to you. What's important this year? Nobody quits. Everybody's retained. That's what we do. The work that it takes to drive that into a culture is intense. Now, it's work to get it to the point where people think, oh yeah, that's right, Mike wants me to make sure nobody quits. These people did not do that, okay? Chanda, Becca, and Jake all have absorbed this into who they are. It is a habit now. This is what I'm talking about. Mike builds habits in others. He doesn't passively mention something. He drives it in until it is a habit. Now, you know what? If you take a look at the history of people, and I'm talking to 2 who work directly with Mike, and Justin